I have a confession to make. I tend to do this thing called procrastinating. Anyhow, I've been meaning to make this video since, well, the last one. And I kind of teased in the last video what I did. And for those who haven't seen that video, it looks something kind of like... Fuck me. I'm glad this happened on this flight, because this was me 3 days earlier. So hold on here. I'd say that flight looked a little, what's the proper term for it? So I'm down in the river valley, steep hills on either side or town, nowhere to really land if I have an engine out. So what are the key things that I did to stay safe? Well, first and foremost, the obvious. As you can see here, power float on one side, power float on the other, redundant, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Second, I had, where'd it go? Second, I had this guy mounted right in front of me, where I could easily just give it a good old yank out. And it is actually a military issue hook knife. I actually got this from an old buddy of mine who services safety equipment in the Navy. It's really nice, even got a flint on it. The third thing that I felt was key into keeping me safe was the mindset going into the flight, in that I gave myself some promises. One, I wasn't going to try to foot drag water at all during the whole flight. I'm not there yet. I can foot drag land, not water. Another thing that I did that was part of the mindset was, in case I had an engine out, was to hit the water without really flaring. That way the wing falls down in front of me. But that's something that people have different opinions on. Forgot to mention that I also unbuckled my top 2 straps and only had my legs strapped. The last thing that I did was develop a flight plan with a boat that was out on the water, that had competent swimmers on it, and flotation devices they could chuck at me. You know, given the worst case scenario. I do want to preface all this. I've been boating down in this river valley for since I was 4 years old. I'm 26. And I've always kind of dreamed of this flight. And then first thing I did when I went to go plan was identify where all the power lines crossing this river are, because there's a bunch of them. So if you look at the little map that I drew up real quick on my phone and sent to the boat operator, I labeled 5 checkpoints. The first one was where I wanted them to be when I showed up to the river, and I gave him the exact time that I would be arriving. I think I arrived about 10 minutes late. I told them that I wanted for them to get under power and I would cruise up next to them, which we did. Checkpoint 2 was the turnaround point to head back. Checkpoint 3 was where I was gonna start to climb and gain altitude while they started to head into port and dock up. Checkpoint 4 is where I kind of circled that area, and I had an out in the field that entire time while they were docking, and I was able to look down the other valley and see where they were at with the docking process. Obviously checkpoint 5 is where I landed. The whole reason I wanted to have an out while they docked was so that when I came back and I did a low pass through the marina there, they were there. So out of this entire flight, if I didn't have a physical out, I had people who could come get my ass ASAP. So without further ado, enjoy the rest of the video.
Clear prop.
Thanks for watching. If you do ever attempt this kind of thing, do understand the risk you're taking on and plan accordingly for it. It cannot be stated heavily enough, given that this is probably the most risky type of flying you can be doing in this sport. Water is, after all, the biggest killer in paramotoring. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later.